I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Want to be chaplain again? Our Heavenly Father, again, we thank you for a great day that you've given us. We thank you for the safety you've provided to semi-patrol this squadron and the members here. So we just pray that you give us guidance, keep us mission-oriented, and most of all, we just praise you in our glory. Amen.
Amen. Well, hello everybody. It's good to be back for sure. I missed you a lot.
Missed you.
So I'll give a little bit of an update, starting with aircraft first. We have very good news. As recent as today, in fact, National suddenly approved replacement of all 6 cylinders on 216 Charlie Papa, and they approved overnight of those cylinders. And supposedly, I don't have a real confirmation on that, but I've heard that they were actually shipped and supposed to arrive tomorrow. So it's a huge expense, and we are grateful it actually happened. Hopefully maintenance 1 will be able to install them promptly and get the aircraft back to flying condition hopefully next week. Additionally, at group level, we have one more aircraft coming in. It will be based at Hammett. It will be Cessna 172. I honestly didn't have a chance to review the checklist yet. I don't know exactly what the model is and what kind of avionics it will have. I've heard that it's going to be G1000, maybe even G1000 NXI. The bad news, we don't have a lot of 172 qualified pilots, so we will have to really get together and maybe set up some kind of flight clinic and get it done as quickly as possible so we can actually utilize the aircraft. On turbo side, I don't remember if I shared this, but right before my trip I managed to get my turbo qualification, and I had 2 flights already on that. One right before I left and one just today. So I relocated 437 Charlie Papa aircraft from Whiteman here and from here to Whiteman. Overall situation with aircraft in California wing, I don't know, you should be receiving the monthly report for aircraft utilization, but we still have maintenance issues. Some aircraft are down for regular maintenance, some aircraft are waiting for a variety of parts, but looks like in general situation is getting better. My advice to all new pilots going through onboarding, please get all the prerequisites done as soon as possible and reach out to me so I can set you up with flight resources, whether it's an instructor pilot or airplane, round dial or G1000, depending on your qualifications, and get you qualified as quickly as possible. Carlos, have you done any progress on your side?
I reached out to a gentleman that referred me over from Terry, and I made contact with him twice.
Scott Benny?
I can't remember his name, to be honest. It's been a couple weeks, but he kind of he stopped reaching out to me. So
okay. Well, I'm back. I'll start pulling strings.
Okay.
My goal is at least for you to get qualified as quickly as possible as an instructor, CAP instructor. And Robin Keane, he's out of Santa Monica. He is willing to actually spend maybe a couple of days here, including overnight stay, as long as we have an aircraft. Okay, so we will work something out. He usually sets his schedule earlier in the month, so by now it should be stable, and I'll try to see what availability he has and align him with you. Uh,
Never heard anything.
okay.
So,
Okay. So remind me. Don't hesitate to call me, text me, whatever it takes to get you on board as quickly as we can. And that will enable all of us to move forward with onboarding for the rest of the pilots. Okay? Any questions on airplanes? Okay. Keep in mind, in our proximity, we have the closest aircraft is in John Wayne and Fullerton. So it's not that far. If you pick the time right and you book it ahead in advance, then it's there. And as long as it's not in maintenance or taken for other missions. So again, reach out to me. I will help you to get through scheduling process and aligning resources, instructor pilots, etc., and helping you with Wimmer's configuration and so on and so forth. Okay, this weekend there is a SARAX. So if you need anything done, sign off on your qualifications, use this opportunity. If you need any prerequisites done before SARAX starts this weekend, reach out to me. I have my afternoons and nights available. I'll sit with you, work on your pre-qualifications, so you get green light going into the event. California Wing Conference. So if you are planning to go, most likely I will go. I didn't buy my ticket yet because I wasn't sure what will be my work schedule. But looks like I will be available, and if we have an airplane, maybe we can get as many people from the group. We can fly up to, I guess, four additionally, and on top of, in addition to myself as a pilot, we can get a nice ride to the event. So keep that in mind. If you would like to get attend the Wing Conference, let's use that opportunity. Next, I will not go into that. If you need ICS 300 course, there is a sign up going on for that for October 17th, 18th. It's pretty far ahead, but put it on your schedule. The person who is in charge of that is Major God. If you don't have his email, again, remind me. I'll forward it to you. Same for any development. If you need to work on TLC intermediate, Corona Squadron is hosting the event. Let's see, on September 14th, on Saturday, at Cable Airport. Let's see what else. Any questions? Maybe on events I have missed.
How many people are planning to go to the conference?
Well, so far just me.
I'm kind of looking at it too. I have to take time off on the fly.
Major Banner maybe.
I'm going, but I'm driving.
Okay.
We got all that equipment to haul.
So maybe I'll go on my airplane, depending on scenario. If we don't have CAP aircraft, we'll fly my airplane. But I don't have as many seats as 206 here. Major Banner, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, just real quick. So you guys know you're my favorite squadron, right? I don't say that in any other squadron, only here. Anyhow, yes, this is my farewell tour. For those of you who don't know, I'm retiring from Group Command, effective the end of August. So been really, really busy with things. Been trying to get visit you guys as often as I could, and hopefully I made a big difference for you guys. I don't know who the new group commander is going to be yet, but I'll be there to help support them and make sure things transition smoothly. I just appreciate everything you guys have done. You guys have been really busy with Group 3, and I appreciate that. You really are a huge, important part of Group 3, and I can't say enough about the impact you've had and for all the squadrons and even outside of Group for the stuff you've done. So you guys are awesome. I really, really appreciate you. I wanted to have a last opportunity as a Group 3 commander to say that to you guys before I just come back and visit as just some CAP member. So Anyways, you guys are amazing. Love you guys. I'm gonna hang out and watch, see part of your meeting and hang out for a little bit. And thank you, sir, for all the stuff you do. Appreciate you. And those of you guys have been working hard for me in Group 3. You still keep your spots. You don't get to leave.
All right, so today is a safety night. I'll hand the stage to Roger, please. If you'd like, we can move your files here and make it easy to share.
Okay, let's see. Let me get back to the files. I was going to show a video that's really funny, but I can't find it. I don't know where I put it. It's someplace in here, but it was really a neat video. So you guys can't see it. Let me see. Let me get up to where we're at here. Because I was looking around other areas, I lost where I'm at. Oh, come on. Where is it? What happened to it? Oh, it's under safety. Okay. Safety meetings, okay. And now this one's up there. Okay. Now these 4 items here. So what would I have to do to do that, to get those there?
And let's see if I have airdrop enabled.
Anyhow, what the video was about, what I was going to show you was a video on how to fly an airplane, a hybrid airplane.
Flying airplane, what?
A hybrid airplane.
Hybrid?
Yeah, hybrid. It's probably one of the funniest videos I've ever seen. Of course, I hope you know that we don't have hybrid airplanes yet. Maybe someday with technology they will, but the video is really a crack up. And basically, they are very, it's like serious thing about how we do it with our cars and all that kind of stuff. And now we can do it with airplanes. And basically what it is that you put on just enough fuel to get there. If it means you have to walk a couple of miles to get to the airport, then so be it. And of course the picture is is the dad and his daughter flying in the airplane, and they land out in the middle of a field, and the daughter gets out of the airplane, and she's sitting there, and she throws her backpack on the ground because they got to walk another 5 miles to the airport, and she's just standing there kicking her backpack going, why? And of course that the video is a very short one, but it's kind of a neat little video. And of course the whole point behind it is that you don't just put on enough fuel just to get there. You put on fuel and then some. And okay, I didn't want to start there. I wanted to start on the
Lightning presentation?
Yeah. Yeah, that we can start there. And some of it I'm just gonna go through it, talk a little bit about it. Okay, I'm Roger Mann. I'm the safety officer, in case you don't know who I am, or if you even care. But if I see you do something wrong, I can write you up. And then I give it to that guy over there, and Bob. Bob is my boss as far as safety is concerned. Well, I know Bob does it. Yeah, he kind of laughs at me, but what I'm going to be talking about tonight is that basically, how many here know it's summertime? Okay. I just thought maybe there might be some in here that might be a little, you might live in an air conditioning office or a house, and you don't really, have a clue that it's really hot out there. There are some things that do happen during the summertime, and we all know that, when you go out to your car and you touch your car and you get third-degree burns right off the bat, things like that happening. It can also happen off your airplane too. When you go out and doing a pre-flight, be careful. You can get third-degree burns there too. So you have to be really careful. In the summertime, because of the heat, it takes a lot out of you. But one of the things that I was going to talk about, because of what happens during the summertime, uh, what are some of the couple of things that you as a pilot have to watch out for in the summertime? You're supposed to talk back at me here.
Besides physiological factors, you gotta look out for, heat stress, strokes, and all
Okay.
this stuff, but also on the airplane. It's kind of like, the way I will put it, it's kind of like the human body. It also gets affected by the heat, right? Your
Yeah.
engine, your prop, your wing, it's all getting affected by that
Yeah.
increase in temperatures.
Yeah. Yeah. It's things are a little bit different, especially when it gets really hot. Us here in the Civil Air Patrol who do fly, and whether you're just crew or pilot, and it doesn't matter if you're a pilot or not, if you're still part of the crew, the same thing's going to happen to you no matter what. The guy, I guess last week when, what's his name, who took Audrey's place, yeah, he was talking about the mission down on the border and how hot it gets down there. And that's one of the things that really, if you do or are on that mission, that's one of the things you have to be really very much aware of. There's a lot of things that can, just like that thing up there says, you can't see it and it'll kill you. That's some of the things that can happen. There are some bizarre stories that I have read on people who, perfectly healthy people out in the heat, and actually end up dying because of the heat. Now, of course, I think most of us here have common sense. I think most of us here, when you're out there and you're flying in the airplane and you're doing pre-flights and whatever, there's certain parameters that you know that you can take. I know that some people can take hotter weather than others. I like winter time, but I know people who love summertime, and they thrive on it. But I'm not sure just exactly, I don't understand that, but that's only because I'm a winter person. However, I mean, I've put up with a lot of heat throughout the years. Okay, just that. Okay. Okay. One of the things that happens during the summertime here in the aviation world, and also if you're out doing anything, like if you're with cadets, sometimes we do work with cadets, sometimes we are out there in the field. And there's a couple of things that we really have to watch out for. And lightning is one of those, and that's part of this. That part of this is on the lightning. And where we are here at Riverside, we don't usually get lightning too much here. I live in Banning, and up there we will get lightning. And especially if you go up into the mountains, you will get lightning. Oftentimes, we end up going on a mission where you'll end up going into places like that. And we did see, if you were here, I think it was last week, what's his name? Why is his name?
Chris.
Yeah, Chris. My son's name is Chris. That must be the reason why I'm forgetting. Chris was talking about that big, huge storm that came up right in the middle of their mission. And if you had seen that, you would see that at first, it didn't seem like it was nothing. Everything was fine. And then all of a sudden, this thing started coming up. And so we here in Civil Air Patrol run into that. If you're just flying for pleasure, you have a choice to get out of it. But when you're flying these things where you're doing a mission, the mindset is to finish the mission. And sometimes that might lead you into a situation where you might not want to be in. And thunderstorms can do really funny tricks to you. Uh, I have flown through 2 thunderstorms. Uh, but the airplane I was in was a 4-engine jet, and we got shook up pretty well. Um, one was the co-pilot wasn't doing his job, but anyhow, that's another story. Um, but it's not fun in a smaller airplane. Uh, Scott Crossfield, do anybody know that name? Yeah, he was the one that broke the records in the X-15 rocket airplane. He flew that airplane up, and they expected him to take the thing into space, which he didn't, because Scott Crossfield did exactly what he was supposed to do. He followed the book. Well, after he retired, he flew, airplanes like we do, for the rest of his life, until he flew his airplane into a thunderstorm. Nobody can figure out why a pilot who was an X-15 pilot, who was the epitome of aviation, went and flew his 182 into a thunderstorm. It tore both wings off. And of course, needless to say, he didn't make it. So it can happen to the best. So that's one of the things, I'm not going to show a bunch of graphics and nothing like that, but one of the things that you got to watch out for is those thunderstorms. Has anybody here ever been in an airplane that got hit by lightning? Yeah, Bob raised his hand. I have too. 5 times.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, you guys, if you were here when I talked about it before. Yeah. It sounds like, like a 5-gallon gallon barrel. It sounds like somebody hitting it with a hammer. That's what it sounded like.
With your head inside.
Huh?
With your head inside.
Yeah, with your head inside, exactly. Yeah. So lightning by itself basically doesn't do a lot of damage necessarily, okay? However, there has been planes who have been hit by lightning and it became one of the most, very critical, to the point where the plane crashed. The 5 times it happened to me, the first 2 times was probably the most dramatic because it wasn't even a cloudy day. It was a day that was kind of occluded. It was occluded, you couldn't see very far. And we were flying up over the top of the mountains going up to the desert when we got hit by lightning. Nothing showed on my engineer's panel at all. Nothing, the meters didn't go out of sight or anything like that. The funny thing about it was, and if you guys remember, when we were coming back for a landing, we were making the final approach and we got hit by the second time. The second time we got hit. 2 airplanes were down on the ground getting ready to take off. And it was the funniest thing I ever seen. Both of them just turned around and taxied back to the parking. It was so funny. Everybody just cracked up. Anyhow, when maintenance got on the airplane, the wingtip had blown off, or the panels had blown off the end of the wingtip, where the static eliminator was. And then the other times, we did, the top panel got blown off, and then the last 2 times, we never did find any damage at all. But in our airplane, when we go out, it's always possible that we could end up in that situation. The thing about it is that the bottom line with that is don't panic. If you got hit by lightning, don't panic. First thing you do as a pilot or as air crew, it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're the scanner, or the pilot, you ascertain what's gone wrong. Has anything gone wrong? Is the airplane still flyable? That's the first thing you want to know. And then, is there anything else that might be a concern? So that's the big thing. Let's see. Because some of this is, lightning is hotter than the surface of the sun, 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. I could cook a turkey and that. Um, okay, then I'm just going to go through this quickly. I'm not going to go into detail, but if there's any chance that if the weather forecast, which they do quite often when the temperatures get really super high during the summertime, our mountains that we're at, the surrounding banding, get huge thunder clouds that come up. And those thunder clouds that come up will turn, you'll get lightning from them. Most of the time it doesn't happen, but it does every once in a while. And my wife and I love it. My dog hates it, and my cat hates it. But we will get lightning if it gets hot enough, long enough, and it will do it. You as a air crew or on the ground, and I'm not just talking about even for a mission, but just you being a person on the ground. I live around a golf course. So, when you have those kind of clouds, do you go out in the middle of the golf course and go like this, hold your golf club up and things like that? Should you do that?
I will.
Yeah, I know you would. Yeah, Ken would definitely do that. Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah. Or if you're standing by a boat that goes down on the ground, you hold on to it. Yeah. So, playing tennis. Where I live, we have a lot of tennis players. Do you want to be doing that? Well, probably not. You might want to wait. Just wait. Usually, storms, a thunderstorm like that usually lasts about 15, 20 minutes. I've actually been on the 141 where we had a huge thunderstorm hitting, and we just sat there and waited for the thing to go by. And once it went by, everything settled back down, and everything cleared off, and we took off, except for the rain. It rained so hard that it actually, on the pilot side of where they hold maps, the whole thing was a flood of water in there. Until the airplane pressurizes, it doesn't. You get leaks. So, do you keep playing? No, you do. You go back and do you stand under a tree? No. Go sit on a metal bench under the trees. Things like that. A lot of this stuff is pretty. Well, no, duh. If no substantial non-concrete shelter is nearby, get in your car and wait out the storm. And that's probably the best thing to do. Okay. If you're in your airplane, of course, flying, just get away from it. Don't even come close. Lightning can strike as much as, okay, remind me, is it 3 miles or 5 miles? As much as 5 miles. About 5 miles, yeah, because out at the Air Force Base, when Bob and I were at the Aero Club, they would always shut down refueling of our airplanes, any airplanes, if the storm got within 5 miles, because lightning can go that far. So just realize that even though you're away from it, make sure you're a good ways from it. If you got a GPS, that'll probably tell you pretty much.
Everybody thinks lightning goes from cloud to ground, but I've seen it go from cloud to cloud.
Yes.
Horizontal.
Yes. I'm not going to belay a lot of this stuff. Florida is considered the lightning capital of the country. So, with more than 2,000 lightning injuries over the past 50 years, they say that you can get hit by lightning. Your chances of getting hit by lightning is better than winning the lottery. I've heard that over and over again. No places outside is safe when the thunderstorms are in the area. If you hear thunder, lightning is close enough, it can strike you. So supposedly. Now, we hear thunder all the time up there. And, the lightning is probably a good, 15, 20 miles away. But, it's a good rule of thumb. Just stay safe, Lightning has to be taken seriously. Don't lay on concrete floors. Stay off corded phones. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. The first thing I do when I have a thunderstorm that's even anywhere near where our house is, the first thing I do? I go into my office and I shut down the computer. do not leave your computer on. You know that, yeah, because all it takes is just one little, and you just lost your computer.
Same goes for TV, refrigerator,
and everything else.
Everything else.
I have, yeah. I witnessed a house explode from lightning. Very rare. It was up in San Luis Obispo. It went into the sewage system, went up the sewage system, went right into the house, and it literally blew the bathroom, all the windows in the house out. Yeah, that was scary. That was really scary.
Nobody was sitting on the toilet.
No. Yeah. That was. I was going to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo at the time, and let's see. Immediately get off the elevated areas, of course. And most of this stuff is common sense. I mean, most of us here, being the Civil Air Patrol, Civil CAP people, we're all pretty smart and have a lot of intelligence. And of course, intelligence doesn't mean anything. Common sense. Okay, that's the big picture. Okay, all right. I want to go to the next one.
Do you have this phenomenon here, like a spheric lightning? It's like a ball of fire.
Oh, yeah.
essentially?
Yes.
In my region, where I'm originally from, those are pretty common in the summertime.
We have had in my airplane. We have had, since it's a cargo airplane, it's the what is it called? It's a ball. It's actually a ball of fire.
It's almost like a plasma ball.
Yeah. My mom used to tell me stories when she was growing up. She lived in Texas, and she was living out, in the middle of nowhere in Texas. And they used to have where this ball of fire would literally go into the house and go through the house. Yeah. We would have it in our airplane. It would start right up from the front and go right through down the cargo compartment. I never got to see it, but I have been close enough to the thunderstorms where we had lightning going all around us, all over the place. And I was hoping it would happen. I guess that was a stupid thing to think, but I would like to have seen what my mom saw when she was growing up. But anyhow, yeah, we had several of our guys who had witnessed that. That's why we used to have a scanner. It used to get up and go check the rest of the airplane out after takeoff. Well, whenever we were in the middle of a thunderstorm, you did not do that. You just stay up in the cockpit. Okay, how do I get to the next one? See, it's not like my pad. My pads are easier to use. Actually, my tabletop computer is better. Oh, there we go. Yeah, go to. Let's see. I think where would we were on? We were there. I think. No, that's the PowerPoint presentation there.
We finished that.
Yeah, try that one. I think that was because I don't want to. My job as a safety officer is basically not to teach you anything, but to make you aware of what's going on. And that's why, like during SARXs and things like that, the safety officer is he's the one that goes out and checks to see what are the hazards. And that's where you apply the hazard, your Civil Air Patrol hazard risk management. There we go. That's what I was trying to remember. Yeah. Well, okay. If you can't, I mean, we can go into the other, because basically I talked about both of them anyhow. I wanted to touch on both sides. Being in the summertime, during the summertime, out on the ground, just being out as a regular day-to-day, or being out on a mission. The big thing to remember about anything to do with Civil Air Patrol is that we, there's times where, safety becomes the number one thing in civil air patrol. And if you're on a SARX and anything that's unsafe, you do not have to be involved with it. Just make sure people know about it, obviously. If you see something unsafe, make sure you let, the incident commander know about it, and obviously the safety officer and like that. If you're on an actual mission, okay, now it's a little bit more important. But the whole point of risk management is just that. Take the least amount of risk to get somewhere. And so one of the things that you want to make sure is that, is this risk that you're taking worth having to do it, or if you know for a fact that somebody's going to die because you don't do it, now that changes the whole picture completely. And you see it all the time. You have people who save people's lives. Our job here as Civil Air Patrol is to save people's lives. That's one of the things we do. It's in the CAP. What am I trying to say? I say the CAP guidelines. Gosh, I couldn't remember what you called it. And so
You're starting to get old, Roger.
Geez, I tell you, I'm not even as old as Bob, and he's the one giving me the answer. Jeez.
It's a bad sign.
A lot of water.
Bad sign.
Yeah, I know. I got mine thirsty. My water's over there. So it obviously when you're out on a mission and whatever is going on, make sure that you measure it according to how important the mission is, of course. And that's the whole point of risk management. That's actually risk management right there. That's the risk management circle. Okay, well, this is pretty much the same thing here. Yeah, this is just covering just what I talked about earlier about airplane flying into thunderstorms and getting hit by lightning and stuff like that. Why don't we go ahead and go into the density? Okay, so in the summertime, that's one of the things you got to really watch out for. And it's just like, when what we were talking about. Watch out, what you're doing. Don't get sunburned, or not sunburned, but don't get, overheated. It can happen real easy. We don't have cadets here, so we don't necessarily have to watch out for cadets falling over and stuff like that. But you could end up in that situation. Watch out for your, it's the wingman thing, where you watch out for the other person. Watch out. Ken over there has worked with cadets for many years, and he could tell you probably some stories about, working with the cadets.
I put them in danger all the time.
Yeah. Oh, I know you do. I know. So, okay, one of the other things that we have to face, especially in aviation, and this includes the whole crew, not just the pilots, is density altitude. I know we've talked about it in here before. I shouldn't have to really educate anybody in here because I know all of you guys have been involved with it one way or the other. And basically density altitude, the bottom line is the airplane thinks it's flying up here at 40,000 feet instead of down here at 5,000 feet. And that can be a problem. The hotter the air gets, the less dense the air gets. And you're sitting there trying to get an airspeed up when the airplane thinks it hasn't reached that airspeed because the molecules hitting where the instrument that's telling you your speed is not enough to get that airspeed up. And so here you are trotting down that runway trying to get that airspeed, and the next thing you know, you're going off the end of the runway. How many here have flown into Big Bear in the summertime at hot weather? Wow, that's amazing. I have. And
I haven't been in Big Bear, but I have been in similar altitude for on the way to Oscar.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. you stopped at what, Colorado was it area?
Up in Utah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't remember what the temperature was, but I know it was up there, up at Big Bear. It was up in the 90s, and I was in a Cessna 150. Yeah, with a flight instructor who took me up there on purpose. Okay. At that time, I was going for my commercial pilot's license, and so we did fine. You know, we did okay. I mean, we didn't have any other weight except for him and myself. But I'm telling you, the lake looked beautiful, about 20 or 30 feet below me. It was really a beautiful looking lake. Yeah. And basically, what he was teaching me was that you know, since I knew the airport, head towards the dam. Just fly towards the dam. Don't try to do anything else, because when you take off from that airport, basically, the head towards the dam, you keep the airplane pretty much wings level. Don't try to turn, don't try to do anything. Where people get in trouble up there is they try to maneuver themselves out of a situation. If they just let the airplane fly right across the lake and keep that nose, you know, down, and just fly right towards the dam. Once you pass that dam, the elevation just drops right off. And that's where you pick, and then from that point on, we had no problem whatsoever. It just flew right into Redlands. So density altitude is still, it's one of these things. This individual here that wrote this article was in our Aero Club. Rich Martindale, he was used to be an Air Force fighter pilot and stuff like that. A little bit of an arrogant guy, but used to drive Bob and I nuts. But he had good points, and he's also the reason why that we're kind of in the, Bob and I are both in the Wings program and can teach Wings. And the reason why is because of this individual. He kind of pushed us into it. But anyhow, this individual here, this is an article he wrote about it, and he talks about it, obviously, you know, some of the stories of the things that happen, you know, and what happens whenever you don't pay attention to density altitude. I read the accident reports, and it is absolutely incredible how many people just blow it off. It just is, it's just beyond comprehension why people would do that. I know why. It's pride. It's pride. They just don't think, oh, I've taken off from here for 20 years. I never had a problem. You know, and so all of a sudden there's a problem. All it takes is just your airplane not get that power up. Bob, did you want to bring up a few subjects? Because Bob has got a couple of things that he can add to this too. While he's doing that, I want to bring this down to there. Yeah, that's the biggie thing. That's called a Koch chart. And it's easy to use. You don't have to have a fancy phone, calculator, or anything like that, although we do have programs that do that. Bob and I have a program that will do it right off your phone and figure it out for you. But you also have this right here. If you don't have this on your airplane, then you're not using your head.
We talked about this not too long ago. So let's, how many choices, or where can we find, how many options, I should say, do we have in finding density altitude? How are we going to find density altitude? You just mentioned the Koch chart. Probably about 4. Any other things? Should all know. How about the airplane? What's the airplane got in it? How about the operating manual? all your charts in the operating manual, when it talks about altitude, talks about temperatures, it's giving you the density altitude when you figure out you're a ground runner. How about another one? There is a density chart on a special whiz wheel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one. I don't have the instructions. I can't figure the thing out. I'll be honest with you. That was developed by the Air Force.
That's because you
I'm
were an
sorry.
airline pilot.
Okay. So we have that one there. We have the app here up here. I think there's probably one more. All of those things. How about signage? Airport signage. Where can I find one of those? Number 4. Everybody been to Big Bear? Yep. Get out there, you approach in, and it's got a big sign that says density, altitude, and it gives a reading. It comes out of a computer. And why do we have that? Because at Big Bear, it's about 5,200 feet. And we got this nice big pond with the berm line here, and then the lake here. Oops, the lake here. These guys don't figure out what the density altitude is. They're down here trying to lift off because they're at the end of the runway, and they either end up in the pond or they crash in the lake. Density altitude. So let's just play with this a little bit here. I'm going to give you, this is going to be Big Bear. This is going to be L35. Altitude here is 6752. The temperature is, let me see, I want to give you both of them. It's going to be 18 C or 64 Fahrenheit. This is how I figure out what the Fahrenheit is. It's close if you're in a rush. 18 is 36, and I add another 31 to that, I get 67. So I'm 3 degrees off. Big deal. And it's kind of exponential, so as we get higher in temperature, the margin becomes smaller. Anyway, let's keep on going here. The humidity is going to be 45%, and the dew point is 43 degrees. Altimeter is 30.27. Everybody can go to this thing right here. You see it? You can probably get it on your phone. I'm going to pull up on my iPad here. I keep it on my iPad. It works pretty well. It's pretty fast. It was developed for racing engines, and it does work for anything else. So with that, on the density altitude, you could use the dew point or the relative humidity. And we'll just say the dew point. So the elevation is going to be 67.52. The air temperature in degrees Fahrenheit is going to be 63. The altimeter setting is going to be 30.27. And the dew point is 43 degrees. And I press the little arrow that says calculate. Just erase it, sorry, but let's start all over. I have have everything in Fahrenheit. And believe it or not, if you pull up Big Bear your phone and look at it, we're looking at a density altitude of 8,293 feet. And it breaks it down into absolute pressure, air density, relative density, and estimated AWAS feet, which is 8,200. So that's the closest thing that we can figure up with, and we come up with 82. So the higher the temperature, the higher the density altitude gets. And what happens to our horsepower? It starts decreasing. Let's figure out how much we're going to lose by using horsepower. So I go back in that same old program, and I put down engine tuning. We're going to use altimeter setting. So I put in the elevation again at 6752. Air temperature is 63. I'm looking at altimeter setting as 30.27, and the dew point is 43. Just take a guess on how much horsepower I have, considering it's a new engine at 100%. Any guess? That's with a new engine, based on horsepower at sea level. Now, the higher the temperature, I've seen it down below 70. And your elevation's up around 10,000 feet. And that's not even a turbocharged engine, it's just aspirated. If you got carburetor, it's even worse. So it's a pretty decent program to put into your computer or your iPad to keep it. And don't forget the Koch chart, it's pretty good. So we use the Koch chart, and we did, you can put that on the screen and see.
Yeah,
how
it's up
close we
behind
are.
you there.
If we look at the altitude, airport temperature right now is 63 degrees, which is about right here. And we're looking at airport pressure altitude is 5,057. And I'm just going to draw an imaginary line right here. It's about 75%. That's pretty close. Pretty close. The Koch chart is pretty close. It gives you a little bit more leeway, but it's pretty accurate considered it's a manual mode of getting into that program.
It gives it to you
So,
pretty fast.
Just remember that all of these things, when you look at your takeoff database in all of your charts on your aircraft, for takeoff run and what have you, it's all based on density altitude. So it's going to give you the altitude, it's going to give you the weight of the aircraft, and it's also going to give you the temperature. And you can figure out your ground run is based on that density altitude. The aperture, this is right here, that one there, and you're always going to have a sign. Even in Prescott, they got a sign. I've been flying in and out of Prescott lately for my sister who's quite ill. And anyway, my last calculation there, I figured 4,200 feet for takeoff with tip tanks, because I have to add another 11% now for my takeoff run. That was about 5,500 feet for takeoff on that altitude for them, and they're about 5,000 feet. So all these charts here, be aware, very important in regards to your performance. And it can go the opposite way even when it gets too cold, by the way. So just because it's cold doesn't mean that you're going to have a good flying airplane. You can be just bad in trouble. So there's always a happy medium. But try to play with this thing and look at it. Yeah, Ken.
This is assuming your engine's at 100%, if it's working properly.
That's right.
There's been, I know when I was with the Aero Club, there was a time I had reduced climb from what I'd expected, and when I got the plane back, we found a piece that it had ingested a piece of tape into the carburetor. So it was blocking part of the carburetor, and I noticeable reduced performance. And if you're, cutting it close to the edge at high density altitude, you're screwed.
Filters that get dirty, restricted. we use a lot of filters with a lot of oil in it. Some say that the paper filters are just as good, but then you've had some indications where you've gotten into a rainstorm and that paper filter has come apart even though it's guaranteed not to. And it's sucked into the carburetor and restricts it. The other thing you've got to start worrying about if you got carburation is you're going to be the Venturi effect, Burnell's principles in regards to forming ice. So just be aware, all these things are very effective. That's the advantage of fuel injection. You don't have to worry about carburetor ice, which has always been a problem. We've had carburetor ice in the middle of summer at altitude. They landed at it's north. It's just to the north of Van Nuys.
Camarillo.
Camarillo.
Yeah.
It used to be an Air Force base. We went up there, started the engine up, cleaned it. We looked at the plugs, couldn't find anything wrong, and flew it home. They ended up with carburetor ice, and it was a young student pilot on a cross country trying to get his hours.
I think I flew that home.
Yeah, you did, I think. Yeah, I think you were the one.
So anyway, so there's that, and don't forget your weight and balance. I'm a stickler on weight and balance. I'll give you an example on weight and balance. That's where we're kind of into the safety program here. We got a couple minutes left. We had an individual out at Corona that did our avionics, and he took a picture of an airplane with a tail almost sitting on the ground. And the guy inside had it loaded up with not only baggage, but oil. And he was headed for Las Vegas to pick up his wife. And what the heck was his name? He moved to Las Vegas with his shop. He did all our avionics.
Oh, yeah,
He says, "Are you planning on flying that thing?" And the guy says, "Yeah." He says, "You're overweight, aren't you?" He says, "Oh, no. He says, "I'm okay. I'm just headed for Las Vegas. I'll burn off some fuel and I'll pick up my wife." Do you think he got to destination? Never made it. Killed them both.
He did pick up his wife.
It was almost tail dragging, sitting on the ground, which means they already had an FCG. So just be aware of your weight and balance. Very important. So when you figure it out, you start putting people in the airplane. I have 6 seats. Yep. Do I put anything in it? No. I may put a little kid in there that weighs 40 pounds or 30 pounds in the one seat. I don't put the 6th seat in. And I'm restricted. If I had a little larger wing and a little more horsepower, I could probably fill that 6th seat. And so now you're carrying a bag of tools just in case with a few extra spark plugs. And you're carrying some 2 quarts or 3 quarts of oil plus some other stuff that you have in the back in the cargo section. Yeah, I have to watch it. I noticed that by myself the last time I came home with just main tank fuel out of Prescott. I had to keep it nose up about a half to 1 degree, where normally I'm on the step at half degree down for my stabilizer. And I had to pull more power to keep my true airspeed up. So there was nothing I could do about it. I had just a little carry-on bag, and I threw that in the seat in the back, and came home. So I had shown where your FCG is. And yet I've had 4 people in that airplane with bags going down to Amarillo, taking airplanes T-34s down. And we were going into, wasn't Wilcox, I guess, in Arizona for refueling. And I'm making my turn, and I'm doing this to the yoke. What's that a good indication of? CG, right? I finally told Tyler, I said, he had a suitcase loaded of books. He liked to just read. He's an engineer. I said, "Tyler, bring up those books and throw them underneath your legs. And bring up that other bag and throw it under your legs." And I finally began to have a little more feeling in my yoke. FCG. So, you just have to be kind of cautious of where you are. So, that's all I have.
On the website, it's WAHIDU instead of an O. For those online,
Yeah, I probably may have copied it wrong.
Which one were you?
so it's DUDD.
HIDUDDIN.
Yes.
Got it wrong. Sorry about that.
No worries.
You were close.
Just for everybody else that may be watching, that way
Yeah.
they can get to it.
How can you, real quick, you're sitting in your airplane, how can you figure out pressure altitude?
Zero.
Whatever the airport elevation, set it to the airport elevation of the altimeter.
Man, come on, really?
Don't remember.
It's right there. Read your altimeter setting to 2992 inches. You set it 2992. Now I'll give you the pressure altitude of where you're sitting at. Got it? Wow. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions? Forgot to ask that. Dan, be quiet. No,
Don't fly with tape in your carburetor.
no, or a fly that goes up your altimeter, or not altimeter, your.
I will save these files under the safety folder on Teams. So anyone interested to make a reference, you're welcome to. Okay, Jason, thanks for joining on Teams. This is end of the formal meeting. Thank you so much.
Make sure you sign the sign-in sheet.